Jai Hind, Namaste, hello and a very warm welcome to UPSC for everyone. My name is Abhinav and in this video we'll be discussing selected topics from the Hindu and Indian Express for the date 3rd of October 2020. Now in this video we'll be discussing the following topics. Over 1600 kg of smuggled gold seized till September. So I will tell you why we are seizing more and more of smuggled gold. What are the routes for the new smuggling in the light of COVID-19 restrictions. Then Kisan Rail, a very good thing that I will tell you about. It provides the farmers a chance to send their perishable products directly to markets or consumers in a very time and cost effective manner with minimal chance of wastage as well as guaranteed coverage of loss. So we will cover about Kisan Rail, very interesting topic and very good, and it becomes all the more important in the light of the recent 3 agricultural bills that have been passed. Then Tesla to enter India next year. Small news but big implications. I will be telling you about the implications of this decision. Then good conduct is key to early release, Supreme Court. So Supreme Court made some observations about under trials and the system of bail. So we'll look at that. Mobiles to get dearer. So the government is imposing a 10% duty on the touch screens and the touch panels in our mobile phones. So that would lead to an increase in about 3% cost in the mobile phone, right? Now that cost in itself may not be that high for you and me, but it would impact the manufacturers and it would also push them towards manufacturing these panels in India and not import them from China. So we'll look at that. Then government flags concern amid market surge. So during this pandemic, during the last 6 months, Indian markets, the market indices have seen unprecedented growth. So that has raised some red flags in the finance ministry because the financial institutions, they are supposed to file in STR, which are suspicious transaction reports. And during the past 6 months, they have not really been doing their job seriously. And this is another reason for suspicion because our economy is not doing too well. Right? Even the global economy is not doing too well. So why would anyone want to invest in India during such a period? There are also fears that globally China is trying to take advantage of the pandemic it created. So they might also be trying to do the same in India. So that is why government has called these financial institutions. So in this, I will tell you about STRs and I will also tell you about Financial Intelligence Unit India. Very important. So we'll discuss that. Then Paytm CEO rallies app operators against Google. So what Google is doing is that any app developer or any app that is available on Play Store, if you buy that app or you take any services, that has to go through Google's portal only. And in this process, Google is also making a profit and it is forcing the companies to use this because Google has made it a rule. So it has taken away the choice from the companies and it is using its dominant position against the companies. So this issue could be turning into something big in the coming days. If you remember, recently also there was a controversy between Paytm and Google Play Store. So we'll look into this. Then Atal Tunnel, our Honorable Prime Minister, he has inaugurated the tunnel. So we'll look at some of the features of the tunnel. Then another news about the green shoots in the economy, that exports rise 5.3% in September and imports fall, narrowing deficit. So I will tell you the probable reasons for falling imports, right? And we'll see the implication of this news. So this is all that we are going to discuss in this video. Now let's get started. Over 1600 kgs of smuggled gold seized till September. So this year there has been an increase in the seizures of smuggled gold because the prices of gold have been rising and currently they are prevailing at around rupees 50 lakh per kg. Now that is too much. And why that has happened? Because of uncertainty in the global markets and other investment avenues. So gold is the traditional investment avenue. So more and more people are buying gold. Demand is much more. So people are smuggling in gold because the black gold or the gold which is not accounted for, they save on tax. So that is why gold is being smuggled. Now one more thing. Now because of COVID-19 restrictions were imposed, so now maximum gold is coming through land borders, especially India-Myanmar border that has seen a rapid increase, and ultimately the source of the smuggled gold can be traced back to Dubai and Thailand. And today we'll also be discussing about distortions in share markets That is also again because of this COVID situation. So we'll look at that as well. Now first look at this news. The over 30% increase in the price of gold in India has led to a spurt in smuggling in the past 1 year. Origin of smuggled gold, like I said, foreign origin and ultimately traced to Dubai and Thailand. Routes used, generally both air and land, but because of COVID, international flights banned, so land routes have become more active. Spurt has been seen through land borders, Indo-Myanmar, Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bangladesh borders. Now what are the dangers of this smuggled gold? First of all, it deprives government of valuable tax revenue, right? Secondly, it increases the role of organized crime syndicates because it's a whole supply chain. The gangsters like Dawood Ibrahim, etc., they all started with smuggling of gold, especially in the 70s. And if you remember, in all the Bollywood movies of the 70s, the quintessential bad man used to be a smuggler of gold because at that time, the taxes on gold were very, very high. So whenever taxes and prices are high, the smuggling increases. Now this smuggling also leads to generation of black money, which is again unaccounted wealth, and this money can also lead to be used in anti-national activities. For example, the latest case in Kerala where money was being paid to anti-national elements through smuggled gold, and that has also evolved into a political controversy. So this is about the gold smuggling that has increased in recent past. Kisan Rail. Now this is a beautiful initiative in the collaboration of Ministry of Rural Development and Ministry of Railways. So what they do, basically they run trains which have cold storage facilities, and these trains, they transfer the perishable food items from source to market. Now because of this swift movement and also cold storage, the wastage of the food materials is low, and also there is saving in cost for the farmer. So overall this is a very good thing for farmers. So right now, occasionally and seasonally these trains are run, but both the ministries are in talk to institutionalize this mechanism so that this can become a permanent affair. And this becomes all the more important in the light of the 3 new agriculture bills where farmers are free to sell to anyone. So for example, a farmer in Andhra Pradesh wants to sell to someone in New Delhi. Now it is very, very easy. He can just load the material on the train and that train would ferry it to Delhi. And this is also a better mode of transportation. Why? Because there are no traffic congestions, right? And it is also very cheaper. In fact, it would have been cheaper had railways not been practicing cross subsidization. And I've told you about cross subsidization in the earlier videos as well. What happens that railways has 2 segments, consumer, normal consumer and freight. Now these agricultural commodities come under freight. Now to keep the normal ticket rates down for the normal consumer, they raise the freight charges. So this is known as cross subsidization. But this has led to a problem. The problem being that major freight has transferred to road. You see big lorries and trucks, they transfer the majority of freight in our country. Now that comes with its own set of problems like high pollution, high rate of accidents, and also high corruption. So that is being checked through this initiative called the Kisan Rail, which would help the farmers directly connect with the market. And also if this system really takes off, then railways and Ministry of Rural Development are thinking of coming up with a hub and spoke model. Now what is a hub and spoke model? There would be a big or central train station, and from nearby areas, for example a district, so from nearby areas the perishable materials would be brought to one central location, which would be a hub, and these all would be spokes, right? Like spokes in your bicycle wheel or any wheel. Now from spokes they would all be delivered to the hub, and from this hub all the products will be collected and they would be transported together. Now one more thing, anyone can book to send his stuff from the Kisan Rail, and it can be transferred from any stopping station to any stopping station wherever this train runs. So this is a very, very good initiative. Now quickly let us see through this article. Mango special, banana special, onion special and sapota special. These are some of the routes of Kisan Rail. Special seasonal trains identified by the government for farmers to send fresh fruits, vegetables and other perishable goods to buyers across India. And in future, they are also trying to enable the movement of meat, poultry, fish, etc. through these Kisan rails. Now about the Kisan train, it is the first ever multi-commodity train. These trains with refrigerated coaches will help in bringing perishable agricultural products like vegetables, fruits to the market in a short period of time. Any farmer or any other interested party can directly book their consignments in train without any lower limit on the size of the consignment. So see, it's a very good initiative, like I told you. The consignment can be as small as 50 to 100 kgs and can be booked from any stopping station to any other stopping station, giving full flexibility. There is also provision for reimbursement of loss and damage of products. So loss, damage of products for any reason, Railways already has a well-established claim compensation system through which the party can get compensation for its losses. And this is for any reason, right? So it can be accident, it can be delay, anything, and you can get your compensation. Now the routes to be institutionalized. The Rail and Agriculture Ministers are working to institutionalize these corridors or dedicated routes to make them season specific to a fruit or vegetable. Fish and meat to be included. The plans also include carrying fish and meat in refrigerated containers at some point in the future. So these are all the things that I've already told you. Now, significance in the light of farm bills. The service assumes significance with the new farm laws that enable farmers to sell their produce to any buyer of their choice. So they can basically send it from one end to another without any need for any middleman. Hub and spoke arrangement. If the initiative gains ground, the railway plans to create a hub and spoke arrangement. I've already told you what is hub and spoke, wherein trains will bring in produce from smaller points to big stations from where they will be transported in one train. Now here the economies of scale would set in. Avoids food wastage. So there is an example that from around 30% wastage in trucks that take several days to transport fruits from Andhra Pradesh to Delhi, the wastage in trains has so far been next to nil and goods have reached destination within 2 days. So it saves both time and money. Cost saving and punctual, like I said. Officials estimate that for a distance of around 2000 kilometers, farmers will save around rupees 1000 per ton when compared to trucks, apart from assurance of a set timetable and guaranteed schedule. So this is very, very important. It would be punctual and there would also be cost savings. Now, how to convince farmers to adopt this system? So based on feedback, multiple rail divisions have proposed a tariff discount to convince farmers to switch over. Why? Because I told you about the problem of cross subsidization, and we have already discussed that railway is trying to now let go of this cross subsidization and rationalize the fares so that more and more consumers and producers, they transfer their freight from road to rail, because it has inherent advantages in terms of cost, in terms of saving pollution, in terms of saving lives. So this is about Kisan train. Government concern over market surge. So during the past 6 months, the market indices have gone up to new highs, right? Now that should be something to be celebrated, but that has triggered some alarm bells within the government. Now why? Because every financial institution is supposed to file STR or suspicious transaction reports to the FIU. I will just tell you in a while what is FIU. But the STRs that have been filed recently are either of low quality or the numbers are too less. So this is something that is seeming suspicious to the government, and that is why government called in different financial institutions. As a matter of fact, it will be separately calling the 4 biggest financial institutions to hold them responsible and ask what really is happening in the market and why they haven't been filing good quality or high number of STRs, because it is their job to file STRs. So why are they not filing STRs? And these concerns are all the more relevant because during the COVID-19, Chinese companies have been trying to take advantage of different markets. So it could be a case that they are doing the same in India. And also it could be a case that suspicious terror financing money or other type of black money is being invested in markets because they think that at this point governments are not paying attention to what is coming into the markets. So let us see, we'll get to know what are STRs and what is FIU. As a matter of fact, about STR, suspicious transaction reports, we have discussed earlier as well. If you remember, there was a report about the US FIU and there were some files and they basically reported that major scams from India like 2G, Colgate scam and the Antariksh scam, money from those proceeds had also been invested in US companies, and the US agencies, they red flag those transactions, right? So let us see what this article is saying. The Finance Ministry has flagged specific concerns over low filing and poor quality of suspicious transaction reports by brokers as markets saw a surge in investor inflows that have pushed stock market indices to new highs over the past 6 months. Now, if you really look at it, because there is no manufacturing, right? And the economy is going down, it is in doldrums. So why would someone want to invest in such an economy? So that means there can be some sort of suspicious transactions, and that is what the government wants to know. Now, what are suspicious transaction reports or STRs? These are the reports that financial institutions have to file with the relevant authorities. Here the relevant authority is FIU, India Financial Intelligence Unit, if they suspect potential tax evasion, money laundering, among other suspicious activities. Financial institutions are generally required to file an STR to the FIU within 7 days of suspicious transaction, but they have not been taking their job seriously. The reporting of suspicious transactions leads agencies to investigate and identify potential tax evasion and money laundering. Now we come to the point that what is FIU? The Financial Intelligence Unit, India, is an agency under the Finance Ministry, Department of Revenue. Please pay attention. This is under Department of Revenue. So in future, I hope some of you become IRS officer, Indian Revenue Services. So you would get the opportunity to work in this department, among other departments, that analyzes information on suspect financial transactions. It is the Indian counterpart of the Financial Crime Enforcement Network, FinCEN. We discussed it in detail, FinCEN files. That was the Indian Express exclusive of the United States Department of Treasury, which leads the global battle against money laundering. So FIU is basically focused on countering money laundering. Reporting of suspicious transactions by financial institutions to the FIU leads agencies to investigate and identify potential tax evasion and money laundering. So what happens after FIU receives STRs? The STRs in the FIU IND are filed under PMLA, that is Prevention of Money Laundering Act. After analyzing the suspicious transactions, the FIU loops in enforcement agencies like Enforcement Directorate, CBI, Department of Income Tax to investigate potential money laundering, tax evasion, or financing of terrorism. So if you remember, we did something on Amnesty International. We discussed that. So probably they were also cheating. So maybe an STR was filed about them as well, right? And there the agencies involved were ED and CBI. So this is about FIU and STR. This is very, very important for your paper 3, that India's efforts to fight black money, money laundering and terror financing. And on international level, India is a member of FATF. We'll discuss FATF sometime soon, because let us hope FATF blacklists Pakistan. Then we'll discuss FATF in detail. And then there is the FinCEN, that is the US State Department's agency, which is also fighting this money laundering on a global scale. Tesla to enter India next year. Now this is an important news. Why? I will tell you. It might be of interest to tech enthusiasts, but it is also important for the economy. And I will tell you how. You see, Apple entered India many years ago, and now they're finally going to manufacture in India. As a matter of fact, Apple is already manufacturing, right? And we discussed that 3 of the biggest vendors of Apple, including Foxconn, are going to invest 900 million in the Indian economy, right? So that would create wealth in the economy and also job generation. And it would also attract other American industries to invest in India. Again, if Tesla comes to India, see, Tesla is just the start. If Elon Musk finds good opportunities in India, he could also be investing in the space sector, especially with the new policy. Space sector has been opened for private players. So it opens a very, very big opportunity for SpaceX, which is again a company by Elon Musk, right? So there could be development in the space sector as well. So if the market receives this vehicle well, and if he sees a good opportunity, then yes, there could be opportunities for, in the future, we could even see Tesla production in India and also SpaceX. So this is not a single thing. It could lead to multiple things. Yes, it might take time, but it will fructify. Elon Musk is not a fool to be coming to India, because this Tesla vehicles, for example, this Roadster, these cars are very, very costly, but there is a market in India and he knows that. So if all goes well, then in future we could also see Tesla setting shop in India. So that is the importance of this news, and that is why I am discussing this. Now the news in itself is very, very small. I've told you the important points, so I'll just quickly read. Elon Musk tweeted that the company would be entering the Indian market next year for sure. Not the first time. This isn't the first time that Tesla's chief has hinted at entry into the Indian market. Now, earlier he was trying to enter, but he said the import duties are very, very high and extremely high even for electric cars. And if you remember, we also discussed one more scheme that India is going to incentivize EV battery makers. And the aim of that scheme was to make India a hub for EV batteries. And I also told you that for an EV vehicle, 40 to 50% cost is just the battery itself. So now Mr. Tesla knows that things are going to change in India, and that is why he is going to invest in India. He's a very smart man. He's not a fool guy. So he knows the long-term implications of the policy changes that are taking place in India. That is why he's talking about coming to India. Postal ballots for COVID-19 patients. So this postal ballot have become very famous in the corona period. Postal ballots are being used in America for the presidential election, and they would also be used in the upcoming Bihar polls. And recently Kerala has also allowed the exercise of franchise through postal votes in the coming elections to local bodies. So that is why it becomes pertinent that we get some idea about what are postal ballots and how are they practiced in India. So number one, who all can practice postal ballots in India? Members of the armed forces, special voters like the Prime Minister, Vice President or the President, but they would have to request first. Then those under preventive detention, they would also have to request. Then a new class of absentee voters was recently added, which included the people involved in essential services. We'll see what those services are. Then the senior citizens who are above the age of 65 or are suspected or are confirmed COVID patients. Then armed police force of state which is serving outside the state. For example, there's a member of an armed police force of a state, but he's posted outside that state. That person also can exercise postal ballot. And the employees of government and their spouses who are posted out of India, they can also practice postal ballot, right? So let us quickly go through this. COVID-19 patients and those quarantined in Kerala can exercise their franchise through postal votes in the coming elections to local bodies. Now, what is postal voting? Through this facility, a voter can cast her vote remotely by recording her preference on the ballot paper and sending it back to the election officer before counting. A restricted set of voters can exercise postal voting. Who all can avail this facility? Members of the armed forces like Army, Navy, Air Force, members of the armed police force of a state serving outside the state, government employees posted outside India and their spouses are entitled. In other words, they can't vote in person. That is why postal voting. Voters under preventive detention can also vote only by post. So they cannot say that they have a right to vote. And there was a big case about this as well. Some other day we'll be discussing it. So they want to cast their vote only through postal ballot can they cast their vote. Special voters such as the President of India, Vice President, Governors, Union Cabinet Minister, Speaker of the House and government officers on poll duty have the option to vote by post, but they have to apply through a prescribed form to avail this facility like I told you. And recently the Law Ministry at the Election Commission's behest introduced a new category of absentee voters who can now also opt for postal voting. These are voters employed in essential services and unable to cast their vote due to their service conditions. Currently, officials of Delhi Metro Rail Corporation, Northern Railway, passenger and freight services and media persons are notified as absentee voters. So these are the category of the newly added absentee voters. Then senior citizens above the age of 65 and voters who test positive for COVID-19 or are suspected to be COVID affected were allowed to cast their vote by post. Now, how are the votes recorded by post? So the returning officer, he prints the ballot paper within 24 hours of the last date of nomination and then dispatches them within a day. So you go, for example, the last date of nomination is 24th. So by 25th, he has to print those and then by 26th he has to send them to respective voters. This is done so that the ballot papers reach the concerned voter before the polling date and she has enough time to send it back before the counting day. Postal ballot papers for members of armed forces are sent through their record officers. For members of the armed police forces of a state serving outside the state, government employees posted outside India and their spouses, the ballot paper can be sent through post or electronically. So there's also a scope for electronic sending. For remaining categories, ballot papers can be delivered personally or through post. After receiving it, the voter can mark her preference with a tick mark or cross mark against the candidate's name. Now, you might wonder why not online polls? Now, some countries have tried that, but there are big problems, especially in terms of network vulnerability. In fact, we discussed in one of the videos that even Election Commission of India is exploring that path using the blockchain technology, and I also explained the blockchain technology in that video. So you can go back and refer to that. But it is still a long way to go before we can implement that on a large scale, because there are many inherent problems, though advantages are there, but problems are also there. They have to fill up a duly attested declaration to the effect that they have marked the ballot paper. The ballot paper and declaration are then placed in sealed cover and sent back to the returning officer before the time fixed for the commencement of counting of votes. So this is the procedure by which ballot voting is conducted. So we came to know what are the categories of people who can exercise their franchise power through ballot votes, and also what is the procedure for going about ballot voting. Good conduct is key to early release, says the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court has now said that the length of a prison sentence or gravity of the crime cannot be the sole basis for denying the convict premature release from jail. So this is a good news for any potential criminals. I hope you don't ever get on the wrong side of the law. Now moving on. A 3-judge bench said in an assessment of the proclivity to commit a crime upon release must be passed on antecedents as well as the conduct of the prisoner while in jail, and not merely on his age or apprehensions of the victims and witnesses. So if you might have seen some movies, you see there is a hero who goes to jail, but because of his good behavior, in fact Sanjay Dutt, if you remember, he also got released early because of his good conduct in jail. Now, the goal of reformative justice. Now, there are two kinds of justice. One is retributive and another is reformative. Now, all the modern societies, the democratic societies, they follow the reformative justice, where the purpose of justice system is to reform the people rather than eliminate them. The retributive justice is the justice system that is based on revenge. For example, an eye for an eye, or very severe punishments. So most of the judicial systems in the world are a mixture of reformative, and for some of crimes, like in India, we have the rarest of the rare category for which we give capital punishment, right? So there is also some space for retributive justice, but largely countries follow the reformative justice. So the goal should not merely focus on public harmony, but should also foster brotherhood and mutual acceptability. The court also said some points about the first time offenders. The court said that they should be given a second chance at life. And it is true, because crimes can happen in a heated moment. So if you are not a repeated offender, or if you're a fresh person or the first time offender, then you should be given some chance. First time offenders ought to be liberally accorded a chance to repent their past and look forward to a bright future, the court observed. Because once you go to jail, or once you have an FIR in your name, the only career that you can pursue with some amount of success is politics. Other careers, other white collar careers are not possible once you have an FIR in your name. So please never get on the wrong side of the law. Mobiles to get dearer. So the government has decided, or it was decided earlier on, that 10% duty would be imposed on display assembly and touch panels starting from 1st October 2020. So now it has been imposed, and there could be a rise in mobile prices by up to 3%. Now this might be negligible, but it would give the industry a push to manufacture in India or make in India, because the maximum or almost entirely the display systems and touch panels come from China, and we need to check China's growth. At least we should not personally contribute to it, right? And it is very unfortunate that I have to discuss news articles from the Hindu, but this is what it is. If you follow Hindu or if you read the Hindu, you must have seen just 2-3 days back that Hindu had carried an entire page of Chinese propaganda, and that same page was posted on a Chinese website showing that India loves China. And Hindu had made a very, very small disclaimer on the top right edge that it is an advertisement. So basically, these people never trust the Hindu. That is why I never discuss the Hindu's editorials, only the factual news. And please, you should also do the same, because these guys are not to be trusted. I mean, at this time, you're carrying China's ads, propaganda. Come on. Prices may rise 3% on 10% duty on display assembly and touch panel. The duty was proposed to be applied from October 1 under the Phased Manufacturing Program PMP announced in 2016 in consensus with the industry. Paytm CEO rallies app operators against Google. So if you remember, some days back we discussed that how Paytm was banned from one day from the App Store. The reason was that Paytm launched some sticker scheme, and then Google said that it was in violation of the App Store rules because Paytm was promoting online gambling. But the real reason was that Paytm is the biggest competitor of Google Pay in India. So Google is looking to eliminate it, and Google has power, right? Now coming to this news, now what Google is doing is that if you buy any app or if you take any services from an app from the App Store, then you necessarily have to pay through Google portal. And in that way, if the transaction happens through Google portal, who gets a share of the revenue? Google. So according to Paytm and other startups in India, Google is misusing its dominant market position. So they are looking for government support and also trying to change public opinion about this issue. So let us quickly look through it. Over Play Store's billing mandate. Several Indian firms oppose US company's demand while Google says it's being fair. Now what is the issue? Several Indian startups have been exercised over Google's notification on applications needing to mandatorily use Google Play's billing system as the method of payment for access to features or services, including any digital content or goods. So any payment goes through Google system and Google earns revenue plus it gets the data. Earlier this week, senior representatives from almost a dozen startups joined a call to discuss ways to deal with Google's alleged dominance, including setting up an alternative to Google Play Store and seeking government intervention. So this is a small news for now, but maybe in some days we'll see it turning into something big. Atal Tunnel. So finally it was inaugurated today by the Honorable Prime Minister. So there is not much to discuss about it because it is all factual. So I have collated some infographics and some pictures for you. You can take screenshots and you can read them in your own leisure time because there's no point in me reading the entire thing to you. So this is the tunnel. It is connecting Manali to Sisu Pass. And see, the earlier route was to go through the Rohtang Pass. And this entire route would almost take 5 hours. So now through this tunnel, they are saying that you would just need 10 minutes to reach from Manali to Sisu. So you are almost saving 4 hours for this journey. And this is very, very important, especially this road goes to Ladakh, Leh. This is the Leh Manali highway, and we need this tunnel to operate because we can quickly deploy our forces and material in the forward regions. So that is why this tunnel is important. So some facts about this tunnel. It is 9 kilometers long. Earlier it was supposed to be 8.8, but it is now 9 kilometers. It is right. So you can correct that in the next picture. It will be clearer. This is the path again. You can see here in the map, Mandi, Kullu, Manali, Koksar, Kelong. If you ever go to that region for a bike trip, these are all the places you would come across, right? So this is this tunnel. Work was launched in 2010, then the product cost, and it is at an altitude of 3000 meters. It will provide all-weather connectivity to Lahaul, Spiti and Pangi Valley. So it will not only help our armed forces, but the people as well, because it would provide an all-weather connectivity. So these areas won't be cut off, and throughout the year, they would be able to conduct commerce as well with the entire country, and they would also have access to supplies. Single tube double lane tunnel horseshoe shaped 11.25 meter wide at road level. Now again, these are just factual things. Atal Tunnel at Rohtang. It reduces the distance between Manali and Keelong by 46 kilometers, 4 to 5 hour drive. So that is what we are saving time. 4,000 crore was the cost that was incurred. Maximum speed. This is all about it. Length of 9.02 kilometers, height 5.52 meters, and 3,000 meters above sea level. There are CCTVs and also phone at every 150 meters. The tunnel supports an escape tunnel as well. Then again, this is a topographical map. You can read it in your own leisure time. See, from Dhundi to this region, this 9.2 kilometers, it is basically avoiding all this treacherous path which is passing through the Rohtang Pass. Rohtang Pass, South Portal, North Portal, Atal Tunnel. So you don't need to go through this region. The 9-kilometer long tunnel under the Pir Panjal Range, so which range? Pir Panjal Range, named after the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, will be world's longest highway tunnel above the altitude of 10,000 feet or 3,000 meters. Now what is the advantage of the Rohtang Tunnel or the Atal Tunnel? Cutting through the Pir Panjal Range, the tunnel will reduce the distance between Manali and Leh by 46 kilometers. The Rohtang Pass, to which the tunnel provides an alternative, is located at a height of 13,050 feet, and a journey from Manali Valley to Lahaul and Spiti Valley, which normally takes around 5 hours to negotiate, would now be completed in little over 10 minutes. So see, 5 hours and 10 minutes. That is the difference in the time. While the tunnel will be a boon to the residents of Lahaul and Spiti Valley, who remain cut off from the rest of the country in winters for nearly 6 months due to heavy snowfall, the tunnel will provide almost all-weather connectivity to the troops stationed in Ladakh. So right now it is almost all-weather. We have to make some additional tunnels so that we get a true all-weather connectivity. However, for full all-weather connectivity, additional tunnels will have to be built on the Manali-Leh route so that the high passes on the axis do not impede movement due to snowfall. A 13.2 kilometer long tunnel will have to be built to negotiate the 16,040 feet high Baralacha Pass, and another 14.78 kilometer long tunnel will be required at the Lachungla Pass at 16,800 feet. A third 7.32 kilometer long tunnel will be required at Thangla Pass at 17,480 feet. So more infrastructure is required, but we will surely make it. And you must really appreciate, if you've ever gone to Leh Ladakh, because of high altitude, the oxygen is low. So you don't feel that comfortable, and you must really appreciate the members of our armed forces, the soldiers and officers and their families as well, because they are serving under such hostile conditions and they are serving 24/7 just for us. So please honor this freedom that these people from the armed forces are affording to us, and try to live as good as a citizen that you can, so that you justify their sacrifices, not just the sacrifices by the soldiers and the officers, but also by their families. Now another news regarding the green shoots in the economy, that exports rise 5.3% in September, imports fall, narrowing deficit. One of the reasons for fall in imports could be that India is imposing an embargo, a virtual embargo on all the imports from China. So that could be one of the reasons for the fall of imports. After contracting for 6 months in a row, the country's exports grew by 5.2% year on year at 27.4 billion in September, while imports slipped by 19.6% to 30.31 billion according to data released by Commerce Ministry. So this is all that you need to know about this news, that our exports are rising and imports are falling. So another good news for the economy, and this will also help us save the current account deficit problem and save us forex. One day we will discuss current account deficit in detail, because I know a lot of people are confused about current account deficit, balance of payment and economy. Especially I've seen people hating economy. So I will discuss all these topics and I will try to make them interesting and as easy as possible for you. So folks, that is all for this video. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you don't miss out on any new video that we post. Also, if you like this video, please press the like button, and please connect with us on our Instagram page, UPSC for Everyone. And like many of you demanded, we have progressively been cutting down the length of our videos, and we'll try to make them shorter and shorter, but with more content. more relevant content for you so that you'd save time and you get right information in less time. So please keep supporting us and we will try to make our services better and better for you. So see you next time. Till then, stay happy, stay safe and have a great day. Namaste and Jai Hind.